No, sorry. Yeah, it's 14 people. They probably like, what's going on? Hey, y'all. Hey, loves. Welcome to Missionary Mack podcast, where I, along with my homegirls, talk about all things related to love, sex, singleness, self-improvement, and the pursuit of happiness. Each week, we will discuss topics related to young professional women as we relate it to our everyday lives and some of our favorite pop culture, social media, and entertainment influencers. The goal is to help you grow as we continue to work on becoming the best version of ourselves. You can check us out every Tuesday at 7 p.m. at 97thebfm.com. You can call in and discuss with us at 502-384-6483. Let's get into today's episode. Hey, love.
Hey.
We are here. A little late. I apologize. Okay, y'all. It's just, it's been one of those days for me today. But I made it, didn't I?
It's all that matters.
Nick of time. Everybody's waiting on me, but I made it in the door. Y'all could have started without me.
No, ma'am.
Yes, y'all could have. Well, I appreciate y'all waiting. So this is episode 13. The title is Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. It's people on here, so I'm hoping y'all excited about the show or whatever. I want to introduce my guests. Well, I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves. Eric, you going to start?
What do you want me to say?
Tell the people who you are. You can tell. I don't know what you want to say.
My name's Eric.
What you? Go ahead.
No, what's up?
No, go on.
I've been knowing Ashley almost my whole life.
My whole life.
Yeah, and I got interest and perspectives on a whole lot of stuff.
I'm nervous. You know how you get nervous for my dating disaster? Eric being here tonight. We don't know what he's gonna say, but it's gonna be fun. Yeah. So thanks for coming. Okay, Dante, tell the people who you are. It don't matter.
My name is Dante. Not much really. I don't know what to really say outside of. I think I have an interesting perspective on these different topics because I am a coach and I coach girls and I deal with girls every day with school. So definitely the R. Kelly thing hits home.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted Dante on the show. When he told me, I was so excited he was interested in coming. And I think you all are going to balance each other out. We'll see, okay? Yeah. And then I have the lovely Miss Undertale Williams. Tell the people again, if they didn't see you last week, who you are, about your program.
Okay, so I'm Undertale Williams. I am a therapist in Louisville, Kentucky, and I am the owner of the Girls Living Above Mediocrity Network. And we offer services from individual counseling, group, workshops, and we're all about the empowerment, connectedness, and healing of girls and women.
Thank you for coming back, Anna.
Thanks for having me.
Do you care that I keep calling you Anna on here? I can call
Anna's fine.
Okay,
that's saying I was gonna
say I can't call you by your whole name. Hey, Janelle, I see you done logged on. And then of course I have Sequoia, the beautiful Sequoia.
Hey, honey.
Sequoia, tell people what you did this weekend.
This weekend was amazing. Poise Models, we had our 10th annual fashion show auditions this weekend, actually here in the studio. So that was really nice.
It was so much fun.
You were like, I had you running more. Ashley was like, I got this. I'm like, okay, boo, you got this.
Multitasker. I was in here like I've been doing it my whole life. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just wanted to be helpful.
You jumped right on in there.
Yeah, so it was so much fun to see all the little girls and the grown women. We have some beautiful people in the city of Louisville. I'm super excited for your fashion show. Tell people when the next auditions are.
Next audition is going to be February the 10th. We're actually going to have it here, same place. So I'll send out that information when we, just a little bit closer to the date. And we're still looking for male models as well as children models.
Yeah.
So that's where our focus is. But of course, anyone who would like to come out, we'll blast that information on the Poise Models page as well as mine.
Y'all trying to get in on that action? Y'all want to be male models?
Come on with it.
Yeah, I ain't cute enough.
It ain't your mission. It ain't part of your mission. Okay. Okay, so last week I skipped my normal first segment which is dating disasters. But I'm doing one today, okay?
Come on with it.
Have y'all ever watched? Okay, if y'all ain't watched my show, I do dating disasters at the beginning of every show, and we laugh about a dating disaster someone has shared with me or one of my own. Most of the time, I tell one of my own. I was gonna tell mine that I told you about this weekend. We're not telling you that Sunday, but I changed my mind because I'm gonna tell my other friend. Who was there. Okay, so dating disaster time.
Hold up, before you start. How many disasters you got?
Oh, I have a lot. That's sad.
Oh,
I've been single for 2 years, actively dating and actively getting disaster after disaster. So,
yeah, y'all gotta do better, man.
Yeah, it's I got material for days, but I like to share other people's. So my friend not too long ago, she went out on a date with a new guy. He picked her up. He had been trying to pursue her for a while, picked her up. She was super excited for the date. And I guess him trying to put his best foot forward, the first stop was he took her to this nice neighborhood to show her this home he was about to buy. So when they pull up, weird. I know it's awkward, but you know, I like the effort. Yeah, I like the effort.
Nah,
He's putting it out there. He's coming real strong. So, anyways, he came real strong. And so when they get there, they're sitting in the car. He's telling her about how many bedrooms, bathrooms, 2-car garage. And she's like, oh, this is nice. He was like, so, you know, you've already did an open house, whoop, whoop, whoop. And he was like, well, actually, this is my ex-wife's parents' home, and I'm buying it from them. So first of all, sir, if this is basically your family home, don't bring me to your family home. Okay, so that's strike number one, because you know I like to do strikes, because sometimes people can redeem themselves from a bad date. So
No.
so y'all
thinking, it gets no. It gets better. It gets better. Trust me, it gets better. So
Or worse.
Worse, whatever. So they go to the restaurant. They're at the restaurant. So she's trying to salvage the date. Good conversation. And then all of a sudden she saw he was kind of being a little extra, like getting the waiter's attention, you know, kept using his hands. And I talk with my hands. So, you know, it's not a big deal to me. But then he was like, yeah, that's my ex-girlfriend over there. So, bruh, you took her to your in-laws' home. Then you take her to where your ex-girlfriend works. I'm assuming to show her off, or I don't know, make her jealous. So instantly at this point, she's ready to go. Right. So she's, you know, oh, I gotta go get my kids. You know, let's wrap it up. Hold on. So let's wrap it up. So then the waiter comes. The waiter wasn't the ex, okay? It was somebody else. But the waiter comes, gives the check, and he starts patting his pockets.
Forgot his wallet.
And he has now forgot his wallet. He doesn't have his wallet. So she had to pay for the date.
Oh my god.
Her part or
she paid for both.
Yo.
I have some real generous and sweet friends, because everyone always says they would. Yeah, she's super sweet. So I hate that she had such a horrible day, because she deserves like an awesome date. But yeah. So yeah, that was my friend's dating disaster. She went home and she never talked to him again. He blew her up, wondered, you know, what he did wrong, as if she had to,
Really?
as if she
Like,
had
should I spell it out for you? Like,
as if she had to explain. Okay, so yeah, that's my dating disaster. So then we'll talk about what the show's about. Okay. All right. So before I start, I usually put the phone number up there, and I didn't. But people was telling me they wanted to call in on this show. So make sure you call in. The number is 502-384-6483. The phone's working, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 502-384-6483 if you want to call in about this show. Okay. So the first part of what I'm going to talk about, of course, with the title being AJ number, we're going to talk about R. Kelly a little bit. But I also want to first dive into some of like the local news that's going on. Okay. So there's a cheerleading coach in town. If you haven't heard about it, in 2016, he got charged. He took a plea deal on three sexual assault cases with one of the participants or cheerleaders that he worked with. So in light of this, I guess it had made the news, but a lot of people weren't talking about it. And then last year he opened up a new what is it called? Gym. Cheerleading gym. Yeah, so he opened up a new facility. So someone leaked it back to the press, and then also it hit social media. So everyone was in an uproar that this man who's on the sex offenders list now has his own gym.
Not everybody though. People was supporting him.
Well, that's what the first thing I was going to talk about. So there were.
Yeah,
That's what we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about it. I'm trying to take it. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. So this was they ready to. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely a pattern of behavior. So, but right now we're just talking about the first. When it first hit social media, maybe like the end of last year, when people were talking about him opening up this gym. So there were a lot of parents who were defending them, who still allowed their daughters, I guess sons too, to attend the gym, and they were getting a lot of. Basically, it was kind of divided a little bit on social media. It was people, not only the parents, but there were people in general defending him, basically saying another Black man who the system has failed and blah, blah, blah. So my question is, in cases of sexual assault, is benefit of the doubt a bad thing? Like, were the parents wrong? Were the people wrong for saying perhaps he was the product of an unjust system? That's a hard one, but I want y'all to answer.
I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. I'll tell you right now, there is no benefit of the doubt. You a predator. You show a pattern of behavior. You always going to be a predator. Something's wrong with you. And like for the people who send their kids there, like I hope don't nothing happen to their kids.
Absolutely.
But then if something do, don't come back like talking about, oh well, he finally got my baby. Nah, you put your baby in that situation.
True.
If you know this dog bark or bite over here, you ain't gonna keep sticking your hand in his face, but that's what they keep doing.
That's true. Anybody else? What do y'all think? Benefit of the doubt, unjust system? You think people were wrong for thinking that?
In his case, no, because the information was out. I mean, if you go more in depth, he was having sex with a student at Seneca. Like that's where he was cheerleading coach. He was having sex with her. Like it was consensual, but the girl was like 16 or 17.
And I'm glad you said that. Go on. I'm gonna let everybody else, and then we're gonna talk about what you said.
So I was not aware of that, but if we are going to call him a perpetrator, a predator, we also have to recognize that these type of people groom.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They groom a target specific audience. So whether it's a child, whether it's a parent, it's almost like a form of seduction. And so, they could be very manipulative. They could be very charming. And so sometimes when person does really well at their job and makes these star athletes, we ignore their behavior.
Yes. And I agree. I think that just kind of is a segue into what we're going to talk about next. No benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Well, see, and that was so what you said, part of the reason people were defending them or defending him was because it was consensual and something happened and the girl got angry, and then that's when it got reported.
You teach. I've worked in the school system. One thing like I know, if you're in a position of authority, there is no consensual.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that goes out the window.
Yeah.
Like I work at Sullivan part-time. If I go and I mess with one of them students, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
It don't matter how old they was because I'm in a position of authority. You can't do. He was a coach, a security, whatever, teacher, all of that. You can't do that with a student. I don't care what their age is.
So that's why I'm glad, because that was one of my questions. Do you think that the age matters? 17 versus a 7-year-old. Does that matter?
No, I mean, he has power over.
Right.
So he was exerting his power. So in doing that, you're taking advantage. Even if I have a client and we're the same age and I have sexual misconduct or sexual violence towards them, I could be held to standards and lose my license. And so you have to make sure that you're not abusing your power in working with children, families, whoever, especially when you're in an authoritative role.
Somebody will say something already. Okay, let's see.
Somebody will say something already.
Hold on, turn it down. I know who this is.
Hold on, turn it down. Somebody will say something already.
Hello.
Hey, boo.
Hey. My name is Ivory, and I surely have something to say. The comment that I have to say is real quick, and that is simply thinking about do you give people the benefit of the doubt, and thinking about does age matter? People need to turn that around. I'm talking about professionals. I'm talking about adults that are colleagues of said person. I'm talking about parents. They need to turn that around, and they need to ask, well, does age matter if it's your daughter or your son? Mm-hmm. Age doesn't matter. If it's my child, you've got a problem, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
If she's 18, if she's 21, and you're a grown man, like you said, in a position of authority, none of that matters. What matters is you're taking advantage. And before you take advantage of my child, I'll hurt you.
I agree.
I absolutely agree.
I agree.
But to make a comment to that as well, I think parents don't have conversations with their children about safety and who are safe people in your body and who to like be on alarm with too. So sometimes we miss that as parents unintentionally, I believe.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think, like you were saying, just this man that is of his position, and they are all glorifying him because they feel like, oh, you can make my child this, you can make my child that. So, like you said, you miss those conversations that you need to have with your child. I mean, I don't care what gym they're in. You need to be having these conversations with your child. My daughter's 9 and she's in gymnastics. You need to know at this age, if somebody touches you inappropriately, you need to be letting me know. And, you are a child. This is adult. It's not right. And I think that it is our duty of parents to make sure that we let our children know so they're not taken victim of, someone that's taking advantage of them.
Yeah. So do you think that part of with the parents supporting him was because they thought about, well, she's 17, she knows what she's doing, my child's only 8?
And I think it's a big part of it because he was so open. Like, I mean, I've had parents on my Facebook that was discussing it, and he told them openly like she was 17. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm gonna touch your 7-year-old. I was dealing with a girl that was X amount of months away from actually graduating and going to college. And in his mind, he's justified. And to some of these parents, they want a product and they want their kid to get to a certain extent. And he was good at what he did, so they're able to gloss up in their mind. They're justified glossing over because he wouldn't do it to my kid. My kid's only 9 or 10.
So that's my question for my lovely mental health professional, Ananicia. Is there, and my aunt's on here too, Trisha. I hope you ain't mad I said your name, but she does assessments for the state too, and so does Avery. That is Avery's expertise is sex offenders. That's what she did her graduate study in. But I'm wondering, does the mind of a predator like that different for one who likes young children versus one who likes teenage children? Is he still likely to perp on your young child because he perps on a teenager? I don't know. Have you read anything about it or studied it?
I also think with predators, not excusing their behavior, but most of the time it's conditioned behavior. Mm-hmm. They have their own trauma too. So not knowing his story, he was possibly, molested or touched or something happened to him where he was introduced to pornography at an early age. Mm-hmm. And so the stimuli in your brain, it becomes like normal. It's normal to him. Mm-hmm. But I also want to add, let's not act like this is not a part of like culture, because
it's on my
being in high school, there were older guys hitting on us when we were in high school, and nobody said anything. So this is a community thing. It's not just this is a teacher who did something at a school or at a gym. It's something that we've been allowing to happen for years.
Yeah, well, since you brought it up, I'll skip because that's on my outline of things. No, it's fine. It's on my outline of things to talk about, but we can talk about it right now as it relates to this. I was going to relate it to the R. Kelly thing because he was doing 16, 17-year-olds, but I mean, younger than that too. But I on Facebook, there's a lot of discussion. Sequoia, don't get mad at me, okay? About Central High School here.
Hold on. No.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Central High School, and no, Central High School is not an isolated school in this. I went to Mill, and I know girls who was getting picked up and on 22 rims. You know what I mean? So I know that happened at a lot of schools, but let me see. This might be.
Oh, they captured some.
Okay, we'll answer. Let's see. Hello.
Hey, it's Precious.
Hey, Presh.
Hey, I wanted to say that it's a lot of people who think it can't happen to them or their child. Like, it don't have to happen to you for you to take heed and learn from somebody else's mistake. It's been done, and you just have to take heed. As a parent, you're supposed to take pride in protecting your child. So everything else is irrelevant.
I agree. When you know better, you do better. You have to protect your children, even if you weren't protected yourself. Thank you, Presh.
All right.
I was just reading what people text me comments too. So sometimes it said that predators can get fixated on the age range, no matter how old they are. They're looking for a certain developmental stage when they pick who their victims are.
I was going to ask that. Since you would.
Sometimes they can be a pedophile, which is that a psychiatric diagnosis to where it's uncontrollable and they probably need to be in some type of therapy. It's almost as if they're going to have to be isolated from those children and always be working some type of program, just as people with substance abuse issues would need. A pedophile will always have to be in some type of therapy, working through those thoughts and processes that they have because they're fixated.
Yeah.
And that's what I was actually going to say, because I remember when watching just the docu-series with R. Kelly, it's like a certain type. You know what I mean? And so with people saying, you know what I mean, my daughter's 9, so you feel like, you don't have to, but your daughter's going to be 17 one day.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So don't just discount that. And they like their type, but my baby's going to be my baby until forever. You know what I'm saying? High school, whatever. It's not okay.
And we'll go back to the high school thing, but let me finish up this story because then I want to talk about the R. Kelly thing. So he opened the gym. My main question when I read the article, let's say that this is a black man, the system is unjust, he has been given a raw deal. I'm saying hypothetically, let's run with this scenario. Let's say that. My question in my head always was, why would you put yourself back in the position to be accused again? I feel like an innocent man would run so far away from that whole scenario.
Yeah, even if that's like your hopes and dreams, if you know that you had got in trouble for it before, there's other things that you could have done, but he just put himself back in line.
Do y'all not agree? I mean, well, you do clearly, but do you not agree if he was innocent? That I'm just saying, if I was accused of something and I'd been working at this thing, I don't care, for 15, 16 years, man, we got to sever ties.
That's just self-preservation. You do what you got to do to protect yourself.
Yeah,
if you're innocent.
If you're innocent.
If you're not, then you're going to go back and try to see what you can pull off the second time around. I learned from my mistakes. They ain't going to get me this time.
Yeah.
Or do you think he possibly thinking
precaution?
Oh, and that's my name. That's what I'm here too. So I said safety precautions. Just like when you go to the OB, well, you all don't, but just like when we go to the OBGYN, I have a male OBGYN, Dr. Lebner. He's a wonderful OBGYN. Anyways, he always has a woman nurse. His nurse is always in the room when we are talking, when I'm getting examined. I think now that's a law, but in general, he's not going to put himself in a position, even if he opens the door and he sees she's not there, he's like, hold on. And he'll stand in the doorway. And me and him have a good rapport, but he's not going to do that to put himself in that position. I feel like this black man did not do that. And an innocent person, I don't understand why he didn't do that.
That's what, like, with me, like you said, I coach girls basketball at Iroquois, and some of the things that I do is I definitely always have a coach with me. If it's not just me, I have another student in there with me. So it's two of us. I'm never alone with one of the girls. I mean, and I have a great rapport with my girls, but I'm, protecting myself. I could yell at a girl one day. She get mad at me. Oh, well, Coach Ellison touched me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And even,
like you said, self-preservation. Most people would do that. So Tina said on here, he put himself in the position to find new victims. And that's like, if that is what he's craving, that's what he did. So he didn't want to give that up. And she was like, an addict does anything to get their next high. And I think that's why that was my big thing. Because everybody was like, unjust system. And I was like, but then why he opened the gym? Like,
do you think maybe he opened the gym just to show like this isn't who I am? Obviously, I mean, in his mind,
to try to change that narrative.
And
so to act like he's innocent, so I'm gonna keep doing this.
I'm
so
gonna
they
just
don't
keep on going. Why would I run away?
But let's not forget, he's had recent accusations.
Yeah.
Accusations.
He should have sought out consultation.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Right. I use the word accusation because, like, dude, he ain't locked up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but
why
would you put yourself? He pled guilty to the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So my thing is, if I've been in trouble before, and guess what? I ain't plead guilty to nothing.
Yeah, you're not. I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about.
The state of Kentucky was mad at me. I'm not pleading guilty if I didn't do it.
Well, yeah, the majority of people who are incarcerated plead.
Mm-hmm.
Man, listen.
So
if
that's
you
where
think you innocent, don't plead guilty.
You fight. Yeah. Well, I'm
Fight.
saying if you think you're innocent, especially if you're charged with a sex crime,
Man, because that's riding with you forever.
that's riding with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. I was thinking, who would plead guilty and now you have to be. But also, let me just say this.
I mean, we got to bring up, he didn't deny. He said he had sex with the girl. He just said that it was consensual. So it wasn't like he was denying. He tells you that he was having sex with her. He was proud. I mean, I don't know if he was proud. Well, I guess
he was proud. Dude was proud.
A 17-year-old girl, her brain development is not even
there.
there yet to where
Exactly.
she has that ability to critically think about what she is doing.
especially separate.
So it's not
coach.
consensual. Yeah.
Yeah, just like me as a coach, like if I tell my girls to do something, they're going to do it. Or if I threaten their playing time, they're going to do it. And my girls don't even love basketball as much as some of these young ladies that love cheerleading. So who knows what he held over her head? Like if you don't do it, then you can't play. Or
you want to please him. You want to make sure you please him.
Yeah. And like this is just another plug for therapy, like I always do.
Yes, plug it.
Therapy. I watched, Press just made me remember, I watched a documentary on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, watch it, but also prepare yourself. It's called In Plain Sight, or Abducted in Plain Sight. That's what it's called, Abducted in Plain Sight. And it talks about a church member, and they were also neighbors befriending a family, and basically ended up in sexual encounters with the entire family, father, mother, children, and it was the oddest thing to me because I'm not thinking things like this happen, but it shows like how conniving he was and manipulative, where he played it each member so he was able to keep victimizing. He didn't really care about the adults, but he wanted to victimize.
What the ethnicity of this family was?
It wasn't me.
You think race matters?
No, hold on. Wait a minute. I ain't saying it always matters, but in a lot of this stuff happens to everybody. So
absolutely,
we're not gonna say that it's just one, but white people in general allow a lot of foul stuff that I just couldn't do as a black man.
Oh, black people do too, because those are my clients.
Hey, listen, I'm just saying. That's why I said myself.
We just don't talk about it.
That's what.
Nah, because I'll be the hurt. R. Kelly, this coach, something like that. Like I don't have no biological children, so it's like I got nieces. I've coached. I teach martial arts. I've dealt with kids for a long time, and if one of them ran up talking about, hey, this guy tried to do this to me, I don't see that turning out well.
So let me say something about that. What happens is predators are never really strangers. They're always someone close. So they're an associate, they're a family member. And so what they do is they exert that power over the child, make them feel like you can't tell anybody. If you tell somebody, you're bad, you're wrong, you participated in this. So we always think, stranger danger, look for the big black van. And really, it's people sitting on our couches, it's people in our churches, in our community. And so we don't have those conversations with our children. And so they're thinking about stranger danger when really it's Uncle JJ who's touching my child.
Yeah, and I tell my daughter all the time, I don't care who it is. Like, I don't care who it is. Like, you let me know. Mama, auntie, sister, cousin, brother, grandmama, I don't care. You let me know. And we have a code word. So if you're scared, just say the code word. And
so Dante, I wanted to ask you a question. So as a coach for young ladies, and of course you're a male, I'm just wondering, do things like when stories like this come out, how does that affect you? Does it make you nervous? Because also, I'm not saying that I also want to say false accusations absolutely do happen. I do not believe it to be in this case whatsoever, but they do happen. And so, like you said, using those safety precautions, but just in general, does that make you like nervous or just make you extra conscious of things?
It puts me back into reality of like, you got to be careful. Like, because the time that I'm not careful, or the time I don't have someone with me, it'll be a time that one of my girls is like, well, you touched me. And it's my word against their word. And no matter what, like, even if it comes out that I'm perfectly in it, just like the whole Chris Brown thing came out that Chris Brown did rape that girl. Thing. But now but the news flash was Chris Brown raped a girl. So it just brings it back to reality. And my girls are super cool. I mean, they're all black girls. So they you would think that they wouldn't say them, like, but I bring it up to them and they like laugh at, like, we would never do it, Coach Olsen, but just so they know, because a kid will blame for something if they think that you're not expecting them. So as soon as that happened,
so you try to have open dialogue about it.
It's like, because they asked me, like, Coach Olsen, why you always bring somebody else in here and tell my business? Like, I'm not telling your business. I just don't want you to think that I'm saying something or doing something, or even to the fact of, like, when I have to pick them up for a game on a Saturday, they don't sit in the front seat with me unless someone is in the car with me, and they think I'm so mean. Like, no, but it's just like precaution. If you physically get in the back seat, most likely I can't touch you. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that you got to understand and be conscious, because the time that you don't think, or you may think that you're cool with this young lady or this young man, then you say something wrong to them, then it only takes one allegation for you to be done. Especially with me being a teacher, it's not worth it.
Right. Which again is why I say that man was completely out of his mind to open up the gym. And then now today's the 29th, and on the 25th he turned himself in. I think this time he turned himself in. He has another accusation. After a session at the gym, he was giving a young lady a massage, and she said that he touched her inappropriately. First, that's what I'm saying. Like, come on. It blew my mind. I was thinking, why are you giving massages? You have to be insane to give a massage to anybody after.
I've been coaching like for 5. I ain't never gave a massage, nor will I ever give a massage.
Right. I've coached
you do,
my entire adult life. I have never been in that position. That is crazy.
Yeah, I don't. So the gym actually ended up releasing a statement basically saying that they have he's transitioned out of the gym. They are trying to continue with the gym. They're rearranging the private practices or whatever, private one-on-one. You know how they do one-on-ones for the girls? You can reschedule your one-on-one with somebody else in the gym. Do y'all trust this gym?
So is he the owner?
He was the owner. So I actually, to be honest, I thought their statement, I'm going to read it. And I didn't want to say his name because I don't want anybody coming back on me, but I'll blank out his name.
Say his name.
So hold on, it says, we are aware of the allegations that have surfaced. Our former owner, and then they say his name, has transitioned out of our gym. The coaching staff, as you know, will continue to run Outcast Elite, which I probably shouldn't say that, but all classes, practices, and private tumbling sessions will be ran on our normal schedule as a Monday. If you need to reschedule a private, the different coaches have availability. Our main priority is making sure our girls are still able to do what they love. Please don't hesitate to reach out.
So that's how he slid through the cracks, because typically at a place of employment, they do background checks. So being that you're the owner,
Yeah.
you don't have to submit any type of
Yeah.
paperwork
Yeah.
and do any
Yeah.
But
background
the thing
check.
was, he was telling people like
He had a
he was-
sign when you
yes.
walk in, and he
Oh.
told them
yes.
that he has like they do coaches meetings.
Mhm.
He had to sit down with all the parents, told them the scenario. That's why everybody knows what the scenario is, and he gave them the option. Now I saw on the
And
news.
He told his version.
Well, he told
events.
he told his
He
version.
didn't
So there
tell
were
who
some
he
parents
was.
who left, and there were some who stayed. More stayed than left.
A lot of parents stay.
So I feel like that was a form of manipulation too,
Yes,
because it's
like-
like I'm being honest and truthful with you all.
That's
And
that
so
fake
you
honesty.
can trust that your kids is in a safe place because I'm telling you what my history is, but now I'm here to do a job and make
Yeah.
sure your children are great.
Right, because I would never ever tell you if I was a monster. Like, why would I ever open
Right.
you up?
Yeah. Well, two things I saw a problem with I want to talk about with this statement was that it said our former owner has transitioned out of our gym. Does that mean he no longer owns the gym or you will no longer see his face? Because I wouldn't want to support him in any way, shape, or
Right.
form. So they didn't address that. And
Money
then
is still
two,
going in his pocket.
yeah, and that's what I think. And then my second issue with it was it said our main priority is making sure your girls are still able to do what they love.
Not their safety.
Oh,
Not
There
If
you
you're
go.
releasing a
There
statement
you
about
go.
your owner getting arrested again for sexual assault, your main priority needs to be the safety of
your
these children.
Yes.
So I don't trust that gym.
But they
Safety is not a
they kept
priority.
it all the way real. Everybody under that umbrella who knew what dude was is guilty by association. You knew what he was a part of. You knew his history. People that knew him personally know what this dude's MO is.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
something.
And he could technically, and I'm glad my aunt brought that up. There's no law saying that he can't own a gym. He can't teach at a school. He has to live so far away from a school. He can't work at a daycare. But there's no law for him owning the gym. So that's how he slid through the. We don't have any legislation on it right now.
True.
So he wasn't technically by opening the gym doing anything illegal. Just people
I thought
were out
he's-
of there.
Isn't he on the sex offenders list?
Yes, but he can still own the gym.
Okay.
So
I thought
that's
they had to be.
Guarantee
There's
it
no
changed.
rule that they have to
Not
be
for that.
away from children.
no, you can't live.
Oh, okay.
You can't live. You can't so close to schools or areas where which gyms should be included in that, but they're not. So that's something that
You know
So
what
they
they
need
maybe
to
that's
look
what
at.
we need to remember when we're electing our officials to include
Yeah.
things like this.
yeah.
You know what they do in San Diego to eliminate that is like in Chula Vista, they'll have a playground on almost every corner to
keep
make
them.
sure that
They have
nobody
to-
can live in that whole vicinity.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be one of those things like, oh, I'm right outside the zone. No, there's a playground right here, homie, right here.
On
right
every
here.
corner,
And
yeah.
guess what? You can't live nowhere around
Yeah.
here. People don't, but their legislation did that. They built them. The
It's
state did
a
that.
smart way though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now let's get into R. Kelly because we got about 20 minutes left. Let's get into R. Kelly. My first question is because I put the picture up earlier. Why in the world did his marriage to Aaliyah? Why did people ignore that? That was the first sign. We could have stopped it right then and there.
People
Why
thought it was
we
fake.
literally when I was watching Surviving R. Kelly yesterday and today, so I spent the last 2 days because I hadn't watched it. I was behind, but I wanted to talk about it, so I wanted to make sure I knew. So I binge watched it. I remember this stuff, but I was younger
Yeah,
too.
we was
But
kids.
we
We
literally
kids.
it was glossed over though. Like no, I don't remember it being an outrage. And like when they were talking about the songs, like "Step in the Name of Love," like we be bopping R. Kelly after all of this. So I'm just wondering why was there no outrage when he married this 15-year-old?
Well, think about how media is today and how it was back then.
That's true. It's a difference.
Like he would have been slammed all on social
Yeah.
media
If he would,
sites,
yeah.
news. But as you said, we were kids back then,
Yeah,
so it
we
was
were
almost like, what were the older generation thinking about that?
Yeah.
Call in and tell us why y'all didn't do nothing.
But no,
Call in and tell us why y'all didn't do nothing.
the thing is, to reiterate what she's saying, media now, we control the media.
Yeah.
Social media, like we got that. Back then, it was just mainstream, and you could easily take anything, and if
Yeah.
you got money, put a
You got
gag
money.
order.
That's true.
Gag order. Now they can't talk about it.
That's
Another
true.
thing is, if you watch the documentary, they falsified some paperwork. It looked like
Yeah,
she
I
was
saw that.
18.
Yeah.
So to people that don't,
But
know
they
them-
fact checked it and knew
Yeah,
he
no,
was
no, they
lying.
fact checked
Yeah.
it, yeah. But the thing is, at that moment, if you got a paper trail that says one thing, what are people really gonna do? You know.
So I think that's good because that was one of my questions. Like media now, like you said, social media is some people's main source of the news.
Right.
And so, like you said, if take this same incident with R. Kelly, this same marriage in 2019, his career would have been over. I think his career would have been over.
They'd have probably been in jail instantly too.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't agree with that either.
Because
Though.
people are so quick to try to get people locked up.
Nah, see, it's why I don't think he'd been in jail. When we was 13 was when the tapes came out when him messing around with 13-year-olds.
Somebody's calling in.
Yeah, let's see what they got to say.
Let's see who it is. Answer. Okay. Hello.
Hello, you said call in. I'm just calling back in to let you know that when R. Kelly started dating Aaliyah, I immediately stopped patronizing him as an artist. I would not allow it to be played on anything that I had any decisions in. Birthday parties, family cookouts, everybody was mad at me. He was a pedophile, and I never went with it. I've been that way all this time. Won't watch him. Wouldn't watch him on award shows. I shut all the black folk fun down quick in my family.
You know what? And I just thought about that because I think it was a few years ago. R. Kelly was coming here for something, and I was like, "Oh, should I buy an R. Kelly ticket or should I go to this?" And you because I'm not even thinking. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, "Should I buy R. Kelly?" I remember that. Go ahead. She can call back. I remember it was Avery, y'all. She wrote on my post on Facebook. It was like, I wouldn't pay. You know how she talks. I wouldn't pay $1 to go see a pedophile. And I was just like, but when she said that, I was thinking, is he a pedophile? You know, like
It's like
it is
president. Yeah,
Well, think about it. Like I'm saying, if it's easy to forget stuff, if it's not continue to be highlighted. And like I said, I was younger then, so me even thinking, I'm like, And then he got found not guilty. I wasn't into like the judicial system or anything like I am now. When you're older, when I watched the documentary, I felt like I learned so much I never even knew.
Yeah.
Even with him, I knew he was married to Aaliyah at one point. I didn't realize how old she was.
But we forgot about Aaliyah because she was like the princess of R&B. Like she was just like this beautiful soul. And it's like, no, we don't say bad things about her. It's like we didn't want to think of her name in bad and related to him, especially her being dead.
Yeah. I remember growing up. I mean, even just throughout the years, I would look at that age ain't nothing but a number, like you know, and I'm like, damn,
isn't that song disturbing?
It's so crazy.
It was disturbing
like,
but I didn't know. We just thought it was a good song.
Goodness.
My grandma, let me tell you, I talked about her before. My grandma is straight and narrow. She ain't wavering. She don't play about a lot of stuff. And she had R. Kelly CD when that I Believe I Can Fly came out. You know what I mean? Like, but why did we though?
It was tied to a children's movie, Space Jam.
Right, so let me play devil's advocate. He married her. She was 15, right? Didn't they get married in Illinois?
Yep.
Okay, so just throughout the United States, what do y'all think the legal age is in most states to get married?
I know it varies from state to state. I don't know.
16, ain't it?
Okay, so the average is 18, but there's a whole lot of states that do not have an age limit at all.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas is one of them. I think Colorado is another one. California is another one. So they don't have so some places the judicial system says this ain't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That man with his pattern behavior, this ain't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And when these guys ain't sitting behind bars for the rest of their life or whatever, a large chunk of time for what they do, then somebody's clearly giving them a message. This ain't wrong.
And I wanted to talk about that. That was one of the things I want to talk about. Do you think that has anything to do, like historically? You think about our great grandparents, not our grandparents, even my grandparents. I think I don't know, and I ain't gonna say because my aunties are watching. But there's a difference in age between my grandmother and my grandfather. But I think even going back, you'll see where your grandma Nene was 13 when she got married to Paul, who was 35.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They started young.
So
That's
what-
how they had all them kids back then.
So do you think that people are equating it to that, or I don't know? I'm just throwing that out there. Do you think historically
what's
because they were doing
socially
that?
acceptable today is today.
Yeah.
Period.
But
You
the
know.
socially acceptable, and I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying that, but the socially acceptable, or not convert to morally acceptable or not.
It should.
Not
I mean,
for
you think
everyone.
about
No,
it.
not for everyone.
All right. So for the most part, when you look at our laws and stuff like that, because these dudes, like one dude turned himself in. R. Kelly, new charges popped up against him. He's probably not gonna get indicted. Most of these laws haven't changed in a couple hundred years.
Mm.
So when people talk about, oh, well, this guy's doing this 200 years ago, when these laws was written out, this was normal. And yeah, people might not like it. Like, it's like, okay, if you got a daughter, you got a daughter, you got a daughter, and some grown man, 30 years old, come up with a big old bird trying to holler at your daughter, you are going to feel some type of way.
Some will and some won't. And I say that to say because
Flip it out.
that was one of the things I was going to talk about, but I had one of my best friends in high school. So we were probably like 16 and her boyfriend was like 29. And he went to her mother's house. He went to all the family functions. Her family didn't feel any type of way about it. Now I did. And so did my mama. But my mom is so big on dirty old men. Like she has ingrained that in my head since I was a young girl. But some parents don't feel some people don't.
I got stories like that too. I know one of my closest friends, she ended up getting married. She met her boyfriend whenever she was he was 13, so it was in 8th grade. Her boyfriend was a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So he would pick her up, take her out, and her mom looked at it as it's cool. Like, I don't got to take you nowhere. I don't got to take you to practice. I don't got to take you to school here, there.
That's a horrible justification.
No, but we're just saying there are parents.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
come
horrible.
on, man. Like, for
So
real, I
let
ain't
me
gotta take
share.
you.
I'll be personal. I was 14 and a freshman dating a senior who was 19.
Mm-hmm.
And some people never said anything. But
Remember
then,
that.
yeah.
I was like, that's why I looked at it like we were.
Yeah,
Some people
I
never
know
said
why. I know.
anything. But then my family was like, what the hell he doing? 19, still in high school. And what is he doing with you? Like, mentally, where is he at to even be interested?
And I think that's really what it boils down to. You know, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, she's mature for her age,"
Yeah.
and so I can see why but it's
Or
still
she's
a
so developed.
She's so developed.
Man, she's a child.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, but you went to Central. Did you see it a lot when you were at Central?
Yeah.
And was it just like the acceptable thing?
Yeah,
or-
I mean, it was like the cool thing, like to have an older guy come get you after school or whatever. And then, I mean, yeah, a lot of, no comment.
Well, okay.
Like 5 years.
No
So-
comment. With the older men
well,
in the
that's what I'm
school
saying. Do you
with the
think-
girls.
So do you
no
think
comment.
sometimes older guys, and I'm just throwing ideas out here that I wrote down. Do you think now that with older guys and younger women, it's been like glamorized? Like, because right now there's a big, and I can say that I joke about it all the time, like with having sugar daddy.
A sugar.
I say like last summer, I probably spent like 2 months last summer, and I would only date someone if they were 45 and up. Like that was my rule for those 2 months.
Why was that
You
your
was
rule?
bugging.
Because I was just
Trying
trying to guys
something
my
new.
age, and I just wanted to try something new. But I was going real hard on it too. I was texting
I
Koya.
know, but
I'm like
what
45
was
and
your
up,
expectation that you
At
thought
45
a
and up,
45-year-old would have?
financially stable. They were done playing games. They had lived long enough. They was tired of running the streets.
45
Hold
is a senior.
on, let me
Guess
finish.
what? He ain't done playing games, homie.
No, listen. I told you that that's what my theory was. You didn't ask. You didn't ask me what my lesson learned was.
Yeah.
That's no longer my
Let
rule.
her get it out. Let her get it out.
I learned the hard way that a 45 single man
Still plays
chasing
Yeah.
me
Man, he's trash.
is trash in the sense of being lifelong
what you thought
partner.
he was gonna
Yes,
be.
exactly. So I say that, but you see a lot of joking of I want a sugar daddy. Even like I said, I'm guilty of it. I think I really put something up early. I might have put something up earlier today about it. It was like a girl, she was walked in the room and it was balloons and all these gifts on the bed, and was like, last year I said you only get this from men that are in the same place with leprechauns and unicorns, but I also learned you can get it from a sugar daddy. So, but do you think that plays into the role of teenage girls are thinking if they date a 27-year-old, they just think they got a young sugar daddy?
Because the common denominator with like dude, the cheerleading coach with R. Kelly, it's this man has a certain stature and what can he do for me?
Yeah.
And even with me and your age, you gonna mess with him contingent on what he brings to the table.
Guilty. So look. So the question is, who's supposed to be the protector? So in the case of what I watched, like with R. Kelly, there were a lot of people who would be complicit in the crime to me because they sat around and they did nothing.
Yeah.
First, her parents, because they was super cool with it until it came out, and then they tried to act like, oh no,
that's not with our family. Yeah, that's true.
Man.
But society, not just the parents though. I'm saying the musicians, the background dancers, the bus driver, the
security guards.
Yeah,
everybody who's around. If you hold yourself to a higher standard, like I'm not about that life. So if me and bro are together and he's about that life, I gotta check him. Right. Otherwise, now I'm guilty. So like that's another means of protect. Like you gotta check your own, so somebody on the outside don't have to. So everybody's.
So I want to talk like, what do you? So I wanted you to speak to this first. So we're talking about who's the protectors. Who is this? What are Stockholm syndrome, where you are a victim of abuse and you begin to admire the abuser. Am I correct in that? That's part of it. Like kidnapped, something like that. They grow to be affectionate towards the person who is actually victimizing them.
Right.
Yeah, so what happens is like there's this control wheel. So really it's a mental thing. So it starts like with the mental, like get into your head, like you're all I have. Because I think one of the girls on the episodes was talking about like he said like some people don't love you, they don't care about you. This is all that I
isolate
have.
you. That type thing.
Put you down. It's like a form of verbal abuse doing that. And so you get to a point to where you begin to believe them and you trust them, or they do things for you, or they've told you they loved you and no one else has ever told you. Especially you got to be careful. There's the fatherless daughters, you know, that happens too. And then here comes this man filling that void for some women. And so that happens. But, perpetrators are, like I said, they're very manipulative. And I wrote something down to share with you all how they target families. So single parents, absent parents, uninvolved parents. If a family is having stress or poverty, so R. Kelly, he has money. Yeah. He can do this. He can get me fame. Because a lot of girls kept saying, oh, this singing career. The parents were saying that too. Or then, there's a lack of bonding with the parents. So it was easy for girls to kind of run off with him. Yeah. And then lack of supervision. Like one girl was talking about how she was just going over his house and going swimming at his house. And then
or the mom, even the one, I thought it was when the mom was like, oh yeah, she's with her friend. And the other friend called and was like, nah, girl, she with R. Kelly.
Right.
Yeah. My mama's name is Alpha. That could have never happened with Alpha.
Alpha will fuck R. Kelly.
Alpha would have birthed the whole house down. Before I could
what tripped me out with some of those parents, they just were not fighting hard enough. But just speaking on Stockholm syndrome, like with some of the women who were just there. But do you remember the one woman that said, I just decided to leave and then I just left?
Yeah.
So it's like he's not keeping.
He wasn't even really.
He's not like
it wasn't a bondage. Like
So whenever you mentally get that capacity to say, you know what, I'm just going to leave. He was letting them leave.
Yeah.
And that's what people can't understand. Like there were no locked doors.
Right.
Yeah.
Girls could have left at any time.
It wasn't a ball and chain.
But
mental bondage.
I don't want to sound like I'm glorifying none of this. I mean this in the most literal term possible. That is pimp shit.
Oh, I was gonna say, Ivory keep talking to us about pimp.
That's it.
Shit. Yeah,
that's what pimps do.
Yeah,
like that's the game.
We done talked about that.
Period.
That's it. Look, I'm reading Pimp C.
I want to So I want to make sure while I have guys on the show. Y'all know it's so hard for me to get guys on the show, so I'm so happy for y'all to be here. Okay, so listen, one of the things that infuriated me the most about the whole like docuseries was that when his brother said it was just a preference. He was like, I like old women. He likes young girls. That's just a preference. So I just want y'all to talk about as men why you would not. Tell me why you wouldn't date a young girl or a 16-year-old girl.
You want to start?
Or why you would. No, I'm just like, I don't think.
Don't start no shit.
Do it.
Don't incriminate yourself.
No, it's just, I mean, me being a teacher, like you see the ignorance and how unsmart they are. With me being a man that and you better have a master's degree, like you, I feel like I'm too intelligent.
Developed. I mean,
Yes.
it's just that.
And then on top of that, like to me, I feel like I remember what I was doing whenever I was in high school, and some of the girls that I messed with, their hygiene level, and I feel like you.
I love it. No, I love it. This
I feel like you being a grown man and you being with you being a grown man, you being with grown women that know how to handle themselves in all areas. I feel like as you mess with a 16, 17-year-old, they may not have been able to clean a certain way.
I'm so happy he said
be able
my
to.
way was so much more vulgar.
I'm not mad at him for saying it though.
But it's just different things. But there's like different levels. But I think men that do like younger women may not have the intelligence level, or they may not be confident enough to talk to a woman that has things going on. So you are going to get a woman that is insecure, that likes flat, because like most of those men, like they like small shit, like a basic car. I ain't talking about a Benz. I'm talking about like a basic ass Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
You know, just like my friend, like, oh, you can take me to cheerleading practice, or you can buy me McDonald's whenever.
Yeah, they ain't looking for much.
Yeah, they're not even looking for much. So,
Yeah.
but it's just me. I feel like I'm too intelligent. And what we gonna talk about? Like, perfect story for me. I was in college my senior year, and I was in a fraternity, and I was going to mess around with a girl that was a freshman. So I'm talking about, I'm better get an internship. I'm better move back to the city. She's talking about English 100 papers. I'm like, what we talking about? So it's just like an intelligence level thing. That's me personally why I would never mess with a younger girl.
Take the mic, Eric.
It don't stop at intelligence. What do we have in common? Nothing. What could I possibly want from you but sex? Nothing. What do you bring to the table? Nothing. And you stink, just like he said. For real. No, for real. Ali, look, he said it. He said it. It's true. These young chicks don't know how to clean themselves. I'm pretty convinced they don't learn until they get out of college. So up until you 21 years old, you stink. All of them.
Oh. I ain't stink.
I didn't stink either.
Ashley, listen, you my dog. You stink. It is what it is, man. You've outgrown it.
Oh my God.
Now I smell good.
Now you smell good. Now you smell good.
Crazy.
Okay.
Okay.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
quick question, because also in the documentary, people kept saying, well, he was sexually abused
Yes.
as a child.
Yeah.
And I think his sister
Yeah.
abused him.
was,
It came out it was his older sister.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what people
Okay, I
say
didn't hear
about that, because typically people sometimes do act out what was done
Absolutely.
to them.
Yeah.
And so what do we do about that?
And I think
A lot of
again
therapy.
when we were talking about
A lot of
therapy, but in the African American
Continuous.
community, conversations like this,
Yeah.
because we tend to sweep things under the rug. One of the craziest things to me, and not in my family personally, but I've dated people who we go for a family event, and Uncle Ray, who done molested 4 of the kids, is sitting
still
right there
there.
at the dinner
That nigga
table
can't come around no more.
with everybody. That again, Alpha is my mama.
Yeah, and she's a gangster, y'all.
She would not allow that to happen. And so I think that it victimizes the victim even more when they have to go to Thanksgiving and Christmas and
with this nigga. And you
with
know
Uncle
he's
Ray
coming.
Ray.
Yeah,
Uncle
exactly.
Ray, he's still coming to graduation, and Uncle Ray, and like I don't know if y'all remember, but Monique's story about how with her brother, and he just was always there. The family just wanted to act like it never happened. And so I think we need to stop doing that. For one.
Well, I mean, we don't talk about it, It's just that unspoken truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it.
And let's say this isn't isolated to again, what you said by R. Kelly, this isn't isolated just to young ladies. Young men are perped upon, and then them being perped upon creates more perps, and it
Right.
continues, and it's a cycle. So when we talk about, breaking generational curses, sexual abuse, sexual assault is something we definitely need to talk about more.
And for my men, like there are some men I've had conversations with, and they've been 13 or 12 or something, and they said, "Oh, my babysitter touched me," or like we had
Mhm.
sex, and it was almost like that was a step into manhood. And then you have these grown adult men who are over sexualized. They have complications in relationships, and then here you are, say you're dating this man. He doesn't understand that role, that he needs to go and seek help and see a therapist to work through some things, because he is never going to be able to be stable in a relationship.
Absolutely.
So I just
Right.
want to encourage any man, if that's ever happened to you, please seek therapy. I am open to referring you to a male therapist if that's something you are interested in doing, but it's so important to heal.
I agree. So I definitely didn't get through even half of my questions about R. Kelly because I spent too much on the cheerleading coach because that was irritating my
'Cause
soul.
that nigga live here.
Yeah, he lives
And he
here,
comes
right?
down.
And my little cousins are cheerleaders. Anyway, so I'm definitely gonna have another conversation about
What's
the
his
whole
name?
R. Kelly thing. I'm
Oh,
the
okay.
cheerleading coach.
You
I
can
know his
Google
name.
it. You can
Google
Google
his
it.
I
name.
just want to see if you can slip up.
I just don't want Missionary Mack getting no lawsuits or
Right.
defamation or anything like that. But is there
Defamation is
anything?
public record.
That's true. Is there anything y'all want to say just about the whole cheerleading, R. Kelly? Last thoughts before we close it out. Go ahead, Halver.
Just those safety talks, parents, with your children, even if it's not your child. If you are a community leader, if you are a teacher, if you are someone's mentor, making kids kind of like aware of their body and who are safe people.
Just always be in me as a leader of young kids, be willing to listen, because sometimes the kids tell you so much, and some of it is just blah blah blah, but you got to be able to have yourself available for if they do want to tell you something. You never know what they actually can tell you, and take everything that they say seriously.
Yes.
And for coaches like myself, like parents, everybody, pay attention to body language.
Oh, that's
Some
good.
of these
I'm glad-
kids,
yeah.
you can see when something's
good.
wrong
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the whole demeanor changed.
Mm-hmm.
You'll watch the light go out of a kid's eye because something's happened, and then
Right.
people ignore
And we
it,
missed
Right.
it.
thinking
Yes.
that he had a bad day or something. It's
Uh-huh.
like, nah, it's bigger than that.
That's good.
Or is that coach or is that teacher paying too much attention to your child?
Yeah.
Are they
Uh-huh.
having extra
Where you think they're-
one-on-ones,
yeah.
practice? Like
Mhm.
something's just not right about. Trust those gut instincts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I,
intuition's real, man.
Yeah.
and I'll just a little bit of what everybody said. I mean, knowing the right questions to ask. And I think as parents, like you said, Ananicia, having those conversations. But I mean, ask, reach out to therapists, research and know what questions to ask. And then also to, yes, of course, paying attention to those nonverbal cues. Because I mean, kids, they'll tell us. You just got to know how to ask.
Yeah. So I just wanted to leave you all with 4 resources I found. So there's the National Centers for Victims of Crime. They have a section on their website, which is victimsofcrimes.org, and it speaks to sexual assault, sexual abuse. The Joyful Heart Foundation, Black Women's Blueprint.org. They talk about sexual violence. And then, of course, if you go to the Me Too movement website, you'll find tons of resources to help you. And of course, inbox me and I'll give you my lovely therapist number, or Anna.
Follow the Glam Network on Instagram.
Last thing, you got anything you want to plug?
I do. I want to plug Poise events. We'll be having our next soiree Saturday on February 23rd at Happy Endings. So just be looking out for that. And then I also want to plug one of my designers that has worked with me for several years, Feeling Rich. I know, right? One of these ways. Okay, there we go. So Feeling Rich, it's where I got my little polo from, and I absolutely love them, their business, and they're great guys. So support Feeling Rich.
Y'all got to plug anything?
Yeah, we teach martial arts at Shawnee Community Center Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8. Dojo
awesome.
Life, you can look it up on Facebook under Dojo Life, one word, or Dojo Life _ on Instagram.
Nothing.
Unless you want to come to ladies
Yeah,
basketball
tell
at
them.
Quays High School. We not that
Absolutely. We want to support the girls.
He said we not that good.
All right, y'all, look. I still left me. I ain't got no outro music. So We're finished. See y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Let me see if I can play it.
Can you play it? Look, you know I ain't even worried about it. They just go hear us talking, trying to figure it out. Ice done left me. There it goes. Hey loves, welcome to Missionary Mack podcast, where I, along with my homegirls, talk about all things related to love, sex, singleness, self-improvement, and the pursuit of happiness. Each week, we will discuss topics related to young professional women as we relate it to our everyday lives and some of our favorite pop culture, social media, and entertainment influences. The goal is to help you grow as we continue to work on becoming the best version of ourselves. You can check us out every Tuesday at 7 p.m. at 97thebfm.com. You can call in and discuss with us at 502-384-6483.